forgot the last door. I kinda sorta maybe knew what the last door was. My head is heavy. 32 is what I have typed apparently by flopping my face upon my keyboard. Guys, I think I'm gonna call it a night. Honestly, it has been a pleasure hosting you all tonight. Especially that adorable little miniature white mage. Actually, you know what? Especially all of you. Kamikaze, Copper Pirate, Corundrum, everybody. You guys have been fucking fantastic. You guys supported me when I absolutely needed it the most. Rise Up has been my purpose, my cause, my mission for over a month and a half. And to leave it, it's really gonna fuck with me, especially in the next couple days. So any support you guys can give, not monetary, but any support you guys can give, I greatly appreciate it. Every positive word, every reaffirmation that I'm not a piece of shit, it all does help. It really does. I mean, I've got the shit in my brain, gotta wear glasses all my time. My wife and kids are not even in the same house as me. I've got a lot of bad shit happening in my life. I also really appreciate all of you guys being behind me on what happened tonight. I wholeheartedly agree. Rape jokes are not appropriate. I wholeheartedly agree. There's no excuse for them. Not a real excuse. But I also know that the one that I did make tonight was legitimately the only way to handle that where the victim would understand. And I could care fucking less what a bystander saw. The victim of it is all that matters. I personally had a stranger come into my home and take advantage of me the last time I was drunk. That actually, thinking about it, the last time I was drunk, I got raped. Straight up. I haven't drunk since then. I haven't touched alcohol since then. This is the first night since that I have gotten properly drunk. Because of a goddamn roulette wheel, and because you guys were excited for it. I love entertaining people. I love bringing joy to people. I love teaching people. In fact, I'm probably going to start adding a segment to the show where I teach you guys a random thing. That is, if anybody's interested. I'll talk about it more when we've got more of our regular viewers. But I mean, as a victim of unwanted shit, for the record, and I know this is probably because I'm drunk, but what happened was there was a woman knocked on my door, and I had been drinking and playing a drinking game with World of Warcraft with my guild. And she told me that she was there to visit my neighbors while I was living in an apartment complex, and my wife was visiting her mother in Nebraska. And she told me she was there to visit my friends upstairs, but they weren't there. So I gave her permission to come into my house. Drunk as fuck. I mean, I'm drunk now, but I mean really drunk. And I gave her permission to use my phone. And she supposedly called someone, though when I woke up in the morning and realized what had happened, I realized she never dialed a goddamn number. She started hitting on me. I expressed discomfort because although I am polyamorous, The agreement I have with my wife is that I discuss every and all relationships I have. And just because I'm polyamorous doesn't mean I'll fuck anybody. She gave me back my phone, and she took advantage of me. And after everything was said and done, she casually mentioned that her husband was a major, which is a very high rank in the United States Army. And that if I mentioned a word of what had happened tonight, that she would claim I raped her. The fear of which still prevents me from using any name she gave. Whether it be a fake name or not, I don't care. A major in the United States Army is not someone to fuck with. They have more power than a civilian understands. I woke up the next morning and I went to work and I tried to tell some people about it. And I was literally told to fuck off. I was literally told that I had gotten laid, and what the fuck was I complaining about? I couldn't tell my wife for years. Well, closer to a year. Before the first time I told her. This shit does happen to guys. Not near as much as it happens to girls. But it does happen. And it is just as soul-crushing. I did not give permission. I was in no state to give permission. You can't even use the excuse I was wearing fucking suggestive clothing. Not that that's a fucking excuse in the first place. I was at home playing a fucking video game. The only thing I did was invite someone into my home to help them out. I simply tried to help someone, and this happened. The only reason why I'm talking about this on a public forum, on a stream, because I'm done hiding from it. I'm sick of the dirty little secret. I'm sick of it hiding in the back of my mind at all times. For fuck's sakes, I have a goddamn growth on my brain. It could kill me. I could die on a fucking operating table. It's unlikely. Yes, it is unlikely. But it could happen. And the reason why I bring this up tonight, besides being drunk and, you know, the whole lowered inhibitions and all that other good jazz, is I don't want to die and have no one know that that happened to me. Okay? The reason why I was pushing the Rain Marathon so hard, the reason why I was soliciting money for the Rain Marathon wasn't because of the fucking incentives. Wasn't because I was trying to guilt trip people or used car salesmen or whatever the fuck was said to me. It was because this legitimately happened to me. And I didn't know there was something like this out there.
Since that day, my attitude towards everything has been a little different. I've been a little more hesitant to approach people. I've been afraid of what people think of me. I've been awkwarded out by tons of things that never used to faze me. Someone using me fucked with my own life. My life, my family, my career. Because someone got a little horny and thought that a guy can't say no. It didn't matter that I said no. I did say no that night. I did raise a protest. I did mention that even though I found her attractive, that I wanted my wife to know at the very minimum. I wanted to talk to her before anything happened, but I was too drunk to stop it. I was in the safety of my own fucking house. This shit is real. This shit is not a joke. And this shit does fuck with lives in the absolute worst way possible. Subtly. In ways you don't recognize right away. In ways that other people see, but don't understand. Those are the worst way of all. Because no one can help you, because you don't even recognize yourself. You need help. And a network like this, a number like that, a safe haven, I could have used that a year ago. I could have avoided so many problems in my life. I could have avoided losing my god fucking rank. Money off the food of my children. I could have avoided a lot of things. I've only had 2 people besides my wife in real life that has had my back since that incident. Neither of which knew that that incident ever happened to me. Since that incident, I have tried to compensate in plenty of ways. Since that incident occurred, I have tried to compensate in plenty of ways. Most of which backfired horrifically. I was demoted. I lost my rank, and I lost over $200 a month. Which, Emily, if you're listening to this, please wait, okay? I know you're trying to call, and I will talk to you in a moment. I tried to compensate in a lot of ways. I lost them. God, please, 40 seconds delay, please finish so she can hear it, because apparently she is listening to the stream. This is the first time I am publicly coming out about the fact that I was raped. This is the first time I am pointing out that because of my rape, particularly a female-on-male rape, which the United States justice system doesn't have an appropriate term for, so they just call it envelopment. It does not usually, in most courts, hold the same punishments as a rape. But it is very rare. It is a very real, not rare. It is a very real thing, and it has very real consequences. Losing your rank in the United States Army has severe repercussions. Hi, lady, please wait.
I needed to know you were actually okay here.
I will call you in just a minute, okay?
You really shouldn't.
Okay, call me back in like 10 minutes, okay? Being demoted in the United States military cost me my ability to become a sergeant in E5, which would have been more money, more responsibility, and the prestige of being a non-commissioned officer in the United States Army. Because of my loss of rank, I lost out on potential awards. I lost out. I lost out on being an NCO, which means that I would have been in a position that I wanted to be in since I joined the military. My dream since I was in the 2nd grade was to be an educator, a teacher. And because the United States education system is so fucked up, I changed course. I wanted to be an NCO. I joined the military because I have a very long family history of it. And I thought maybe, just maybe, I could make it to an NCO status, and I could be a force for good. But because I was raped, and because of the subsequent trauma, not only did I not get my promotion, not only did I not get sent to the board and the other requirements that would have been needed to go become a sergeant, I got demoted from specialist to private first class. I had to fight tooth and nail every day of my existence to not let it drag me under, to not let it kill me. I had to have my wife and my child, and eventually my 2nd child, to remind me why I was still even around. Because most people that I tried to bring it up to, not directly, goddamn, not directly, not ever did I dare say, oh, by the way, I'm a guy and I was raped by an attractive female. No, I just simply asked people's opinions on the matter when rape came up, when the military held sexual assault classes to prevent guys from putting their fucking hands on people that didn't belong to them, because you can't own a person regardless. Whether they be your boyfriend or your girlfriend, you never own them. They are their own person. But the military seems to have a problem with understanding that, and they have to have classes to remind guys to keep their goddamn hands to their fucking selves until they have consent. But anyone I ever tried to bring up male rape to, that wasn't male on male, because in case you didn't know, that is a huge thing in the military, especially when deployed. There are male soldiers on all branches that will rape other males. Not because they are gay, not because they're homosexual, excuse me. Not because they get off on it, but it's a dominance thing to them. So when you bring up male rape to a person in the military, they automatically assume you mean male on male. The second you clarify that you were talking about female on male, you are laughed off. Because that can't possibly happen. What self-respecting heterosexual guy doesn't want sex with a female? And I promise you, if that woman had just waited until I was sober enough to say okay, or for fuck's sake, if she had just let me call my wife, if she had just let me do what I asked her to, it would have been okay. She was cute. She was nice, originally. But when she was in my house, and when she determined I was drunk, she decided she had control. I can't possibly know how far those psychological implications go. I have no idea if my dysphoria has something to do with it. For those of you who don't know, dysphoria is where you feel like you are the wrong gender. But I don't think it does, because I have felt hints of dysphoria most of my life. But that's a different subject altogether. So for the people that were in the chat earlier, when I made that joke, when I make any joke of this nature, it is because the culture of the job I work at that I cannot quit. Because if you quit, if you don't show up to a military formation, you can be sent to federal prison for as long as they feel like, really. Where you break big rocks into tiny rocks, and then paint one side of those rocks, and flip them over, and construct a big rock again, and then you go break another rock. Okay? That is the potential threat you face. That is what happens when my bipolar disorder, which I've been officially diagnosed with lately, has hit the low that was reached after that event. I have central dazzle syndrome. I have photophobia. Which, for anybody watching this, the fact that I have my glasses off should be an incredible indicator to how serious I am taking this matter. When I made that comment to Pond earlier, it was because and only because he lives 4 blocks away from me, give or take. I know his sense of humor, and I know that that is not a comfortable subject to ever mention, regardless of the circumstance, as a white male in America. Because you are a privileged individual, particularly if you're fucking Christian. Good God, you are the most privileged individual on the face of the planet. So anytime you start talking about something bad that happened to you, it is pissed on. When you talk about female on male rape, it is pissed on. When you are talking about depression in a white male, especially in his mid-20s, it is pissed on. My entire life, any problem I have ever had has been met with, "What's your problem? You have it so good." I am not saying it I have worse than anybody else, but I am saying that the things I have been through have affected me greatly. The fact that I can even still have friends, the fact that I can still be an entertainer, the fact that I have a fucking wife and 2 children astounds me every morning I wake up next to her. And the last couple weeks since she went since she went back to Nebraska, and my headaches have reached an all-time high to the point where I cannot even move out of bed until 10 a.m. Destroys me. I put on a good act. I put on a funny face. But one of the scariest things was so did Robin Williams, who was one of the men that I respected a great deal for his ability to turn even the most horrific situations into something funny. Because humor makes things so much easier to deal with. And then he did what he did. And then he succumbed. And it made me worry all over again. I've only been streaming for about 3 months. I mean, really streaming. 2 of those months I've been part of Rise Up Gaming. Oh my god, I need a tissue or something. And I am still really fucking drunk. Or you can be totally assured that I would not bring up a goddamn word of this shit. Where was I? Kind of lost my train of thought. My point is, the comment I made earlier tonight, where I made a incredibly distasteful joke, a black humor joke, about Pawn's last name and what happened to him when he was 4 years old. It was not for the benefit of the viewer. It was not for the benefit of Rise Up Gaming. It was not for the benefit of the Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network. It was for the benefit of Travis Pond, a victim. And what I knew from my experiences with him would ease his mind, would protect him. He messaged me later that he's come to terms with most of it, and that he wasn't terribly uncomfortable mentioning it. And I projected some, and I will admit that. But he also made it very clear that my response to him was an appropriate one to him. And when I tried to call that out to the person that called me out in my stream, and I was met not only with condescension, but in my viewpoint, disrespect. And then they disconnected before I could discuss it further. That was when I decided I had to leave Rise Up Gaming. Because although I agree with their concept, if we cannot seriously discuss an issue like adults, properly, on stream or off stream, in a public forum or in a private setting, anything and everything important, worth discussing, should be able to be said in front of other people, regardless of their responses. You should be able to stick to your guns and your opinions and your viewpoints and discuss it in a public setting. You should be held accountable for your viewpoints so that you can grow as a human being when you are met with conflict, when you are met with ill response, so you can consider the opposition, so that you can look at the research, at the different opinions, and compare them to your current opinion and make an informed decision. There should never be a point in time where you are ashamed of saying something in public. Now, yes, surprises are a complete exemption to... Oh my god, please wait.
giveaways are a complete exemption for that. Surprises are a complete exemption from that. But serious discussion is not an exemption to that. And if you honestly believe that you need to discuss things in private, besides what I have just done, which is a public admission, I totally understand if you want to talk about something like this in a public or private format. Because this is the thing that grasps your life and holds on to it with tendrils and destroys it slowly. This is the kind of thing that destroys your confidence, your self-esteem, destroys your knowledge and your ability, destroys your self-respect, destroys your respect for other people, and it makes you fearful. Then and only then can I respect you requesting to talk about it in a private format. But if you have an opinion, which is just that, an opinion, if you have a viewpoint, which is an opinion, you should be able to talk about it in front of other people. You should be able to present it like you're a goddamn politician representing your constituents. If you hold a belief, and it is truly your belief and not someone else's, you should be able to hold it high and proudly, regardless of the circumstances. There should never be a time and point in time where someone is shamed into silencing their voice. No, am I saying that once you have decided that you have an opinion, a viewpoint, that you should never change it? No. Far from it. You should hold that loud and proud because someone else with more knowledge, with more experience can approach you, pull you to the side. And this should be able to be said in a public format, although it doesn't have to be. Excuse me, you've got this wrong. Here are some resources. Here are some proof. Here are some things to help you redetermine your stance. And from that, you can look at it, you can research it, and you can determine if you were right or wrong. And once you've made that determination, you should re-hold your flag high. No one should ever be silenced. Hate is an entirely different thing. Ignorance means you simply don't have the knowledge, but stupidity means that you've been given the knowledge and you have ignored it. You have chosen to discard knowledge in favor for your pragmatism, for your hatred, for whatever it is you hold in your heart. And I have run into so much of that. Besides being drunk, I bring this up because someone pointed out that essentially I was trying to guilt trip people into giving money for this network, and I may well have been. I may have been using some manipulative tactics. I don't know. As I said, I've got alcohol in my system. It's not an excuse, but it is a fact. I don't quite recollect all of my actions tonight.
But then again, neither do most people that are sober recollect most actions they take during a time. They only remember what is important to them, because that's how the brain functions. It processes so much information that it only retains what it deems important. So if you did something that would have been normal to you, or you did something that was okay by you, might not remember it. It was never my intention to guilt trip, to manipulate, or to coerce anyone into donating to the Rape Abuse Incest National Network. It was simply a cause that I wholeheartedly agreed in. Rise Up Gaming is a concept I wholeheartedly agree in. And I wanted more than anything for anyone in this stream that could afford to do so to throw every goddamn penny they had at this thing. Not out of love for me, but out of respect for the people that this marathon was for. We have we have children's cancer foundations, which is fantastic. And I agree with all of the promotions and awareness groups and charities that Rise Up does, but this one, or any other victimization awareness, is the most important of all, because these things are silent killers. These things destroy your lives from the inside out in such a way that no one around you even knows anything is even wrong. These things make it so your loved ones suffer, your friends suffer, because someone else inflicted something on you. And our culture, particularly in the United States of America, puts the blame on the victim instead of the perpetrator. And it is horrifying. The amount of times that I have tried to come out about this, only to have been met with sarcasm or jokes. And the amount of times I have seen females try to come out about this, only to have been met with, don't wear that kind of clothing, don't talk to people that kind of way. As if men were an animal, unable to control their goddamn penis for 30 seconds when somebody in a short skirt walks by because they think it's cute. And somehow the girl is to blame? For fuck's sake, for most of our history we walked around in scraps of cloth, if that. Tits and ass were hanging out all over the place. Dicks were swinging around like it was meat spin. But we blame people for wearing too little clothing because it's provocative. Yes, this is a drunken rant. And if any of the people currently watching know anyone with any video editing skills, I implore you, please, take the VOD, edit the important parts, the meaningful parts, not the rant parts, because I've been ranting for probably the better part of, let's see here, half an hour. Yeah, I've been ranting for half an hour. If you could take the important parts and you could turn this into something real, something meaningful, including my confession, I'm not going to hold it back anymore. I'm not going to bring it up to the military because they'll want proof. They'll want names. Or they won't care. And because I won't give them names and I won't give them proof, mostly because the proof is long gone. Because the proof is long gone, the military will not care. They'll file it away, and that will be that. Even though I am not currently a member of Rise Up Gaming, because I personally chose to quit, I still hope that someday I will be able to rid myself of the military culture and stop rape jokes altogether. And someday I hope that the upper staff of Rise Up Gaming can realize context for what it is. And when someone is trying to tell you that they legitimately know the person involved, and that they legitimately know that that quote joke unquote was legitimately the only way to handle that situation without making that person regret coming out. Now, yes, it did turn out that the fact was that person had come out before, but they had never come out to me. And they sure as fuck had never come out in a public setting like Twitch, where someone could have screen capped that shit and spread it all around, with a username attached to it that they use on many other things. That response was the only appropriate response for the victim. And to be given shit for what was a response to a victim, regardless if it was well-intentioned or not, crushed me. The responses I got afterwards were even worse. The emails, the Steam messages, the texts from people I didn't even know had access to my phone number. And no, before anyone asks, I will not out a single one of them. But I received a lot of inappropriate comments. I received a lot of good riddances, and I received a lot of, you brought this upon yourself. And I honestly wonder how many of those people would have changed their tune had they known I was a victim as well. That's all I really have to say on the matter. If you guys have any further questions, I've got the worst out of my system, and I will be happy, I will be elated to clarify anything you guys are remotely confused about. Whether it be Rain itself, my situation, Rise Up Gaming, or anything else, I will answer any and all of your questions to the absolute best of my ability. Because as I have said on many, many casts, I stream for you. My sob story was brought up because I'm sick of hiding it. Because when I go back to Nebraska after the military finally lets me go, after the thing in my brain is finally fixed, after I don't have to wear sunglasses to control the unbearable migraines, which, by the way, I am currently suffering. I am staring at this camera for all I'm worth to avoid looking at a screen because my head feels like it is going to explode. Once all is said and done, I don't want this to haunt me anymore. I don't want this to somehow carry over into how I treat my children, people around me. I want to go back to how I was after I graduated high school, when I first joined the military, confident and cool, able to handle situations. For fuck's sakes, I've started getting fat in the military. I've started gaining weight from fat, not muscle, in the goddamn military, where I am forced by military law to exercise every day. How pathetic is that? And I can blame all sorts of things, but at the end of the day, regardless of whatever happened to me, it is still my decision. It is still my choice. And I need to move past it, and the first step was admitting to all of you who dare watch this video that I, Thomas Neely, was raped by a woman who took advantage of me while I was drunk in the comfort and safety of my own home after I extended hospitality to them, after they lied to me and manipulated their way into my home about how they had permission to visit a neighbor who didn't even know that they existed. And then, once everything was done, blackmailed me with the knowledge that they were married to an extremely powerful political figure in my own organization, and that if I so much breathed a word, that they would come down on me like a hunting dog in a ton of bricks. This has been my public confession, because I cannot live with that anymore. I cannot live with this affecting me like it has. And as I said, if there's anybody who can edit this, I implore you, please message me at either mentalmage99 on Skype, mentalmage99@gmail.com, mentalmage at Twitch for messaging, mentalmage on Tumblr, mentalmage on Twitter, whatever format you can. I would like to publicize this confession, but I understand a half hour is a far too long of a rant, and some of the things have no relation to what I was talking about. I would greatly appreciate it if you could contact me. Thank you. Now, if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer any and all of them.